Thank you, Ronald. We have had an exciting GIS Day celebration at Taita Taveta University today. This is the 7th one we are celebrating since we began celebrating the same in the year 2015. And it is my pleasure, according to your request, to make a presentation on SDGs. And as a learning institution, I'll be concentrating more on knowledge impartation, because if we have the right knowledge, then we can make good use of the data we have. As we know that the volume of data is growing exponentially, but we need to turn data into insights and decisions. So it is critical to ensure that we impart this knowledge so that our students can have that panoramic view as well as the granular view to dissect data and also use the data to monitor progress on sustainability as a complex concept. So sustainability is has a long history, but there are 4 key principles if you look at the Sustainable Development Goals, or the SDGs that we have today. We have the principle of leaving no one behind, the principle of multi-stakeholder partnerships, and GIS comes in strongly there because we need participatory approaches, and GIS has that powerful facility to ensure that we are inclusive in our approach with transparency. Then we have inclusiveness and interdependence. So when we are talking about various criteria influencing a particular outcome, again, GIS comes in very strongly in multi-criteria decision making. And we have interconnectedness and indivisibility. We are going to look into this, and then I'm going to end by showing some of the examples how we have applied GIS at Taita Taveta University for student and staff research. So as we proceed, the background is that we are all one with the rest of nature, and we live in an interconnected world. And when we talk of interconnectedness and indivisibility, this famous saying in systems thinking comes in handy. Dividing an elephant in half does not produce 2 small elephants. Again, location-based intelligence is the heart of today's geodata-driven digital revolution. So if you look at the digital revolution we are experiencing in the era of the 4th industrial revolution, it is basically data-driven, but the major volume of that is geodata-driven. Hence, the beauty of being in the field of GIS and understanding how we can scale and understand trends and patterns for shared meaning. Here you can see the long history of sustainability that we don't need to go into now, but in the 18th century already, we were talking of sustainable forestry, and we are carrying on that one to the present. So a good representation summary of these 17 SDGs, which also have targets and indicators. We have 1 to 17, but we can see that education, we are in the education breakout room, and you see education is at the very foundation, education and health. And all these goals are goals as means. They are interconnected and they should deliver on human well-being. So what we are emphasizing in terms of education and research is that our education and research approach and even training must be able to address what I call the science-society policy interface. So if we can impact society with science and also use the same to calibrate policy for predictability in the environment of governance, then we can say we have achieved much, and GIS is one of the key enablers of realizing that. So when we talk of the Sustainable Development Goals, you can see they are all interconnected, making a complex. And what are complex systems? Complex systems have 3 main characteristics. One of them is emergence. Emergence in the sense that there's interrelationship. So you look at a consequence, and you realize that there are many other factors that are interacting to produce that outcome. Again, they are dynamic. So when we talk of both spatial and temporal analysis in GIS, the dynamics comes in handy, and we can understand change detection in the environment. And we need that if you are going to monitor progress on achieving the SDGs. Another key characteristic is non-linearity. So one outcome does not produce a linear outcome in another. There's no direct linear relationship. Rather, we have even non-linear relationships that could be exponential, and we need to understand these ones in our education and training, and how GIS can help us to understand the complexes better with shared visual evidence. So this picture is just showing you the stages of industrial revolution we have passed through, and it is even more challenging nowadays when we talk of sustainable development, when we are in the era of the fourth industrial revolution, which is also referred to as the second information revolution, with data playing a key part, internet and platform services. So when we talk of GIS and systems thinking for sustainability, look at those 7 Ps. I know to the left, we have been more familiar with the 3 Ps, planet, people, and prosperity. But if you look at the debate, the ongoing agenda in terms of sustainability, even the last COP26, you will realize that there must be other Ps added to this list. And as GIS community, this P of place is critical. And we need partnership, which is also part of the key principles of realizing the SDGs. When we talk of parameters and models and policies and principles, again, GIS comes in handy. So that is Taita Taveta University. Again, we train our students to acquire map making skills with the correct cartographic standards. Our university is just located 8 kilometers from Voi. It is a mineral-rich county. This one example of a map we have produced with our students during GIS lessons. How can they use ArcGIS, for example, to showcase the richness of the county in terms of different types of minerals. And we have mapped the mining sites in the county. We started when we knew the location of barely 20 of them. Now we have mapped over 70, but again, with the online mining cadastre, it is even becoming more interesting for the GIS community to carry out various analyses. And this kind of rich data is also empowering our students to carry out GIS-based research work up to the postgraduate level, because we have Master of Science in Geoinformatics with a bias towards GIS for environmental monitoring and GIS for mining and geology. So I talked of the 7th GIS Day at Taita Taveta University, and we began in 2015, and you can see our themes for each year have been more focused on mining and natural resource management, which is a niche area for our university. We had last year also GIS Day held virtually, and today we held it in a hybrid mode. Just taking you through the journey, how we have gone through it from 2015. This was the inaugural GIS Day celebration at Taveta University in the year 2015, in the auditorium where I'm presenting from now. Come 2017, we celebrated the same in Nairobi, combined with another international conference. And these were the participants from various organizations, including Finland, the University of Helsinki, our key partner in GIS education and training. And here, during the launch of our GIS Master of Science in Geoinformatics program, we call it MSc in Geoinformatics, supported by Finland. We had the official launch of the same in the year 2018. And you can see Professor Petri Pelika. Many of us in the GIS community have interacted with him because he has conducted research in Taveta County. We also have Dr. Mika Silianda. Is not shown here, but is here. Dr. Mika Silianda, also from the University of Helsinki. And from the Finnish embassy, we had a guest. And The founding principal of Taita Taveta University College, now Taita Taveta University, Professor Madi Boga, who is now PS in the Ministry of Agriculture. That is how far we have come. So today we were looking at how to institutionalize a GIS culture within our university, and we find that all these criteria come in handy: goodwill, championship, and networking. And that is why we are very keen on networking, participating in such fora. And again, what we christen as the 4 V's, vision, visibility, value, and volume. We embrace all these in our focused approach, disseminating GIS education and awareness within the community. So this banner is just showing you what we made for our GIS Day celebration today, and the key principles, which if you look at these key principles, they are matching very well the key principles we saw under SDGs, to realize SDGs. Again, it applies when you are going to institutionalize a GIS culture within your organizational setting, and in our case, the university community and the surrounding local community. A good example, when we talk of the SDGs, look at this. This is a city, this is Hong Kong, but you can see the landscape is well preserved. So it is not just about talking about sustainability, but also doing it. And you'll agree with me that with GIS technology and LiDAR, we can come up with very nice 3D models that we can analyze and monitor progress on how we are planning development across space over time. Again, when we are talking of net zero emissions, we have traveled far and wide within our GIS program. This is to Helsinki in Finland, University of Helsinki, which is our partner. And you can see again here, through GIS technology in the city of Helsinki, they have reduced the average time of response to disasters to only 6 minutes. And that would not be possible without quality data and GIS, applying GIS effectively. Net zero emission buildings, effectively addressing SDGs such as SDG 7, affordable and clean energy, and even life on land. This is the public library, net zero public emission public library in Helsinki. And these are things we can achieve if we work together with stakeholders and also map out progress across space and time. Look at this illustration of GIS needs, GIS training needs at Taita Taveta University mapped in the year 2019, and by undergraduate, masters, academic staff, and community level. And there is showing the average level of awareness of GIS within the community and how far we have gone now. These colors showing the level of training need. And I'm happy to mention that with the GIS Day today, this story maps is going to change to green, from red to green, because there was extreme training need for that. But we encourage our students to learn how to use story maps, ArcGIS online resources, and today they were presenting mainly using story maps, and it was very encouraging. So it is a deliverable that we can show the management today that we have changed this color from red to green, and progressively working with the community, participatory mapping exercises that we'll conduct, including with the county government. This one will soon change from red to green. And this is part of the visualization that we need to enhance when we are talking of GIS. Again, when we are talking of sustainable ecotourism, Taita Taveta County is not only a mineral-rich county, it is also rich in biodiversity. That is why we have the Tsavo National Park. You can see the complexes here, and this is why I'm talking of complex systems thinking. There's no way you are going to perceive and come up with a good, impactful GIS project if you're not thinking in terms of systems. So when the county government of Taita Taveta approached us, how can they improve tourism revenue stream? We didn't look at this sector alone, but try to think. Nowadays, we say even without the box, and look at all the other interconnected sectors and how they would influence tourism revenue stream. Now you see there are both positive and negative polarities in terms of interrelationships, and we have positive feedback loops. And the argument here is that you cannot only look at tourism revenue stream in isolation. You have to think of integrated GIS-based master plan and digital sharing platforms for global outreach and publicity. And you also need ecosystem restoration efforts. And with some delay, you also need, we'll realize, increase in the stock of biodiversity and preserving your cultural heritage as a key cultural capital. And this was convincing enough, which you can now translate using GIS into maps, scenario maps, showing how the region will change over time. So in summary, GIS and visualization based on the same will ensure inclusivity when we are talking of stakeholder engagement, delivering on the principles that will help us realize the SDGs, sharing visual evidence, and engaging diverse stakeholders. Now, I conclude with some examples, and you will agree with me that GIS is making it even much better for us to engage with communities. Now look at this analysis, which a study I conducted some time back while at Kipra, and I came up with multi-criteria decision analysis showing that if we are to ensure environmentally friendly building and construction in urban centers in Kenya, then the 4 key strategies, the leading strategies are these ones, from regeneration of brownfields to harmony of development with the neighborhoods. And this number 4 is also speaking to GIS, because there's no way you ensure geospatial harmony of development without GIS technology being applied effectively. But as it is, it communicates yet, yes, but it is even better if you have maps. We have also used GIS proximity analysis to show that in Taita Taveta, the 75 mines you are talking about, on average, they are located about 3.9 kilometers from the nearest water source. So we map all the water sources, and by proximity analysis, we can show. And now mining engineers whom we train here can now judge that is that average distance from the nearest water source a high level of hazard, and what measures do we need to take in order to ensure that we achieve sustainable mining. Again, when we talk of data analysis, this is one of the key challenges we give to our students. If you are given data on agroecological zones across this county, will you use equal intervals or natural breaks? And the answer is that natural breaks brings it handy because the data is unequally distributed. So it is not just about mapping, it is also about understanding your data. So for quality GIS education, we also emphasize the need to understand mathematics and statistics very well and the implications of the same for your results. And even when it comes to COVID, visualizing use at spatial scales. There's a time you realize we locked out Nakuru and the Nairobi metro region, and we call it the disease infected zone. Now with heat maps like this, you can show policymakers that they were actually more in the red, and that was a justification. And this one area in which you have been using visual maps again to help calibrate policy. And Citizen TV, for example, interviewed me on what we are doing to inform policy for COVID containment. And out of this, we have published a book, 250-page book, and we are saying GIS is key to disease and disaster governance, and hence to achieving sustainability and contributing a principal part to realizing the sustainable development goals. So I end by saying that when we talk of GIS and sustainability, sustainability is a complex concept, and it requires spatial intelligence so that you can demystify it, measure it, and monitor with shared visual evidence that actively involves stakeholders across vertical stakeholder profiles, from the Tieno Mora up to the professors. That is what we need for this inclusive debate, and to shift the center of gravity of our dialogue from being academic interest to generative and impactful dialogue for achieving sustainability. Thank you, and I believe together we'll make it happen.